at the 2020 census, like when that 2020 census came out.
And showed the numbers?
Yeah, it showed the, showed
Man,
the numbers. It was panic.
Wait a minute now. Yeah, we can't lose control now.
Trajectory was shifted.
And so you get a lot of that, man. I think that there's a lot of disconnectivity between us. It's so crazy. You know, we've talked about this before, right? We're the most connected we've ever been, but we are the most disjointed we've ever been. It's insane to me right now. I don't like that my kindness that I exude isn't met with kindness. It's met with skepticism sometimes. It's met with, is there an ulterior motive to this guy saying hello to me? Like, no.
Yeah. What do you want?
No,
what do you want?
we locked eyes. And
What's
so
your angle?
Yeah, it's like, no, I'm just friendly. I know that's maybe, I don't like that people aren't used to friendly right now.
Yeah.
You know, people are definitely not used to friendly. People seem very much afraid and timid that something's going to happen all the time.
So, Jermaine, you were about to interject.
Bro,
what did you have to interject?
Yeah. No. I was like, man, you hitting a nerve right now, because I was just looking at some stuff about something I stumbled on on the YouTubes or whatever, but it was this experiment that was done in the 60s. It's called like the beautiful mouse theory or something like that.
Flowers for Algernon?
Bro, no. Listen, it was basically. I'll give you the premise of I'm gonna give you the premise of the experiment. Basically, the experiment took 4 female mice and 4 male mice, and put them in this enclosed capsule, like box. Right? It was a huge box, and it basically gave unlimited resources in the box. Right? And so 4 mice, 4 male mice, 4 female mice, of course, they start procreating, right? They started procreating. So it's basically testing the premise of what happens when you put beings in a abundantly rich society, right? In a closed system, right? With unlimited resources. Bro, they said after about 160 days, like society was doing, you found like cultures and dialects and different, the mice started
behaviors and whatnot,
shifting off into their own cliques, basically. And then they reached like this peak where there was like perfect efficiency between like the roles of mice and the number of mice.
Okay. And
from that point on, there was always this externality of extra mice who just didn't have any resource. They had resources, they could eat and whatever, but they didn't have a role,
right? In the society, family, okay.
Or they didn't have a space in society where they were a productive part of the society. So that started happening, and so the population of what they call like externality mice, right? They gave them different names because they also segmented differently based on gender. So the male mice became what they called beautiful mice. All they did was eat and preen themselves, like make themselves beautiful all day.
We call those light.
They weren't worried about mating. They weren't worried about anything. And all they did was just groom themselves and eat. And stay in their own little section, right? And then the female mice that became in this externality, they became like hyper aggressive and super isolated, right? Then
interesting.
It's very interesting, right?
That's interesting.
Then what happened is as the population of like mice without roles grew and grew and grew, the mice that were dominant in sort of the traditional patriarchal system, right? They were leaders of a certain sect, became like hyper aggressive as they became more and more entrenched in a space, to the point where now I got the Gemini summary here, but I'll put it. We can maybe discuss it a little later another time. But basically, to the point where the end of the story is that the population died out. The whole mouse population died out, right? Because what happened is even when the population got to equilibrium, where there was enough roles for enough mice, and that was equal, the population of mice forgot how to be mice, because there was this the externality had gotten so huge of mice without roles that there was a larger segment of those people who didn't have roles,
who didn't know there was
no legacy to teach the mice. There was no legacy to teach the mice.
Unk mics. Okay.
There was no unk mics. The uncles were gone. They had been bred out, right? And so to the point where the mice didn't know how to mate, they didn't know how to build culture, they didn't know how to connect with each other.
That's crazy.
And I was like, when I saw that experiment, and let me actually go back a little bit. The one interesting thing was that the societies that they saw that at the peak of it, a little bit past the peak, what happened was the mice were too hyper socialized, meaning there was too much interaction. They couldn't go anywhere without a mice.
I see what you're saying. Okay, there was no time to to themselves or whatever.
So that they were saying that may have been one cause of the beautiful mice, because they were just in their own little corner. That was their alone time, basically, and that's all they wanted to do. Self-serving, right?
Weird type exactly. Yeah, I was just about to say a weird type of self-service there. Yeah.
I mean, you get that now, right? With the self-serving of the men, right? Not wanting to mate. And forgetting the art of mating, and forgetting. Now, again, it's not a perfect extrapolation, but it is.
Yeah, careful how we correlate this, right?
Right. I'm not saying society's doomed. But I am saying that it shows the importance of not forgetting the institutions and the legacies that we've been given, and passing them on to the next generation. Because if you don't, men forget how to be men. Women forget how to be women.
Yeah.
Children forget how to be children.
What's the scaffolding you're hanging all of the...
Girls forget how to be girls. Boys forget how to be boys. And then everybody's just confused as to like what we should do. And then things start to degrade. I mean, we already see that now. We already in a population decline with most cultures, most industrial cultures.
Yeah. I know, I want to say it's China's it might be Japan actually, is in a bad way right now.
All of them. China, Japan, Korea.
It's
all of Europe.
It's one of those things was coming, and we all knew it was. I say we all, but the powers that be, we all knew it was coming, but we did absolutely zero things to.
I don't know, but if you think about it, 15 years ago we were talking about people. The dominant narrative of people was population overpopulation.
Actually, it was overpopulation. Yeah, you're right, though.
It was overpopulation.
You're right.
And now we're getting to a point now where we're looking and we're like, oh, shoot.
Yeah.
It ain't overpopulation. Hey, we need to start making some babies out here,
Well, okay, and that's part of something that I see. I'm let me not say it's a narrative I see pushed, but I do think that there's a type of celibacy that is endorsed by society right now. It's been happening for a while, I think, but I think it's to our detriment. I think because see, there's like the baby with the bathwater, right? Type situations. Because when Me Too happened, right? Very important to get the, eye for an eye, you scratch my back, I scratch the quid pro quo. Okay, you want to get that out of the entertainment, industry. I agree. That's not fair. The other side of that for me is that nobody is forcing an Uma Thurman to want to be a movie star and agree to, I can do this act I'm uncomfortable with to get into this movie. Nobody's forcing you to do that. Okay. If you want that sort of behavior to stop, you gotta say no. You can't reward it with your mouth or whatever the favor was, right? You can't reward that behavior with that and then be mad that it happened, because you were uncomfortable for the fact that it happened. When that sort of stuff needs to get worked out, I agree with that. But what happened, I think, on the backside of that was now any form of flirting, bad. Any form of pursuing, bad. Any form of Hey, I like you. And let me show you how much I like you. Try to court you. Bad. And when that got turned off, I think dudes were like, well, how I talk to this girl, how I spit game, how do I interact with her in a way that doesn't make me seem like a creep? And for a while, I think that there was no every single microaggressors. He winked at me, and so whoa. Would you? I think it got a little overboard. Now I think some of that has receded because it's been a little while, but I think it's going to take a little time to recover because in that interim, my son is trying to figure out. Well, I like a chick, but I mean, what? I mean, even do you like me? Yes or no? You remember how even that is no. It's too much. It's too much. They can't hold hands. They can't high five. They can't hug. It's like, okay, well, I don't know how they're supposed to learn then about themselves, about how they interact with people, about rejection, about how do you learn all of that when you can't do any of it until you're like in college or something crazy like that. Could you imagine?
Let me twist it back to you a little bit. So with that, how do you talk about the birds and the bees? Because now I'm going to frame this question because I want you to answer because we had our discussion off the mic last week with my son, with his shenanigans. Like, what are you doing? And I want both of you to answer. You and Jared, but how you both have boys and girls. How are you, or how will you, or how do you think about framing the discussion of the birds and the bees for the boys and the girls? And is it different for the boys and the girls?
It better be. I'm going to let Jared answer because I'm going to tell you the real talk is like, I'll give you my perspective on the boys. I'm scared as hell for my little girls and I will defer to Jared. I'm going to be like, I'm going to call him up. I'm going to say, what did you tell Princess Ray? Because we talk as if it's just me. I know my wife needs to play a big role into that. All right. But I am so, I'm gonna be there, but I'm very afraid of how that's going to be because in my eyes, the talk is a very different talk because I think the worry for each one of them is different as far as what I'm afraid of with an inappropriate sexual immaturity, right? Like if there is that, the consequences for her are very different than the consequences for him. So I definitely think that needs to be different. Now I said I wasn't going to talk, so let me shut up.
No. Good. Go ahead.
No, you good. You good.
Y'all didn't woke me up.
If you're already in the flow, go.
Yeah. So with my oldest, because I haven't talked. I got a 10-year-old. He will be 10 in a few months. 13-year-old. My boys, right? So the 13-year-old who's got him a little girlfriend now. Okay. Which also is different than I remember. They're
got a little girlfriend. Max got a little girl.
Bro,
and
if I could be honest,
yeah,
I was surprised by that. I was surprised by it because the times that we have kind of talked about that sort of stuff, he's been a bit standoffish, and I don't really, and I'm kind of like, I didn't know if it was because, he's young or society or schools don't allow, or maybe he don't even like girls like that. Maybe I'm assuming too much. I ain't know. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so I had that discussion with him first before we even talked about sex or anything like that. I just talked to him about who you like. Why you like the people that you like, is there any romantic, because that's what I want to get out the way first. Cause I'm like, well, from what I hear, if you have a different way of thinking when it comes to, if you're gay, okay, let's just cut all the silly talk out. I know the stress that must bring, especially if you're hiding it, right? Especially if you want to express yourself. And then, especially when you're being told by everybody that loves you that you can be you can, be what you want to be, like who you want to like. But in real life, we know kids is fucking monsters. We know society are monsters. We know that sort of abnormal to most people's eyes behavior gets made fun of. So with him already being of mixed race, he's Korean and black. With him already, he wears his afro. With him being a man, there's already going to be things that stressors that he's going to have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, let's nip this in the bud, buddy. Let's not take away all the stressors. Let's teach you how to tackle all the stressors. So actually our birds and the bees talk started with what he even likes. and it was actually a good icebreaker. Because, well, I'm, I didn't be like, hey, so are you gay? So, it was I tried to, make it, comical and as, well, I don't know, man, you might like ducks and robots. I don't know what and we kind of, but it helped break the uncomfortableness of like, I don't want to have this conversation with my dad, because like I'm gonna be honest, so I never had that conversation with my mom or my dad. Okay. I brought a girl around who looked like a hoe. My dad kind of gave me, hey, don't, and that was just kind of it. All right. That was it. Like, better, son. None of your brothers got kids. And I said, yes, sir. And and so, and it kind of came from them, right? I have 4 older brothers, so I'm the baby of the family. So there was a lot of, what you was doing with your, there's a lot of like that sort of shit. There's a lot of sneaking outside when they out there talking to their girls and shit when I'm fucking 8. So there's a lot of natural learning that happens. I say natural because it was par for the course kind of for people in my age group, finding the magazines
under that generation. What are you talking
about? Beds and things like that.
Generation.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay.
Yeah, what was that? B After Dark? I think it was BET After Dark.
Right, dark. Uncut. That uncut, baby. I just do Black Jesus had this. Anyway, boy, some of those wild videos, dude. This one dude was in he was a preacher at a church.
Tip drill.
Okay.
Tip drill.
And the girls was coming into the church. He would take his hand, swipe down, and all right, come on in. like, yo, like, what are we doing right now? What is this song even about? Anyway, but they don't have those. They have something much, much, much worse called the fucking internet. Okay.
Yeah.
And so while again, I have Blacktail Magazine and BET Uncut, these dudes are watching 8 dudes blow the back out of it. It's like, yo. So his interpretation of what relationships are, what sex is, all of that is built from something I think is artificial. And without him being able to kind of express, because like, at school, like I said, okay, he's got a girlfriend. What does that mean? That they said they go out. They can't kiss each other. They can't hold hands. They can't be affectionate at all. They got to write each other notes and say, hey, even though I can't show it, you mean the world to me. Or, I mean, I guess. So I'm like, hey, you want to go to the movies, man? You want me to blah, blah, blah. Like, can I meet, her parents? Because they're in a band together. So I'm like, hey, the next event, can I meet their parents? And it's like, well, and this is now, y'all got to help me with this. I know this is supposed to be a birds and the bees talk.
No, keep going.
We'll get there. Probably not supposed to have a boyfriend. Okay. And now I had the responsibility of a father of a daughter to understand that rule that's in place there, respect that rule that's in place there. And I have not had a conversation with him about if this is a bad thing or a good thing for him to be doing. And I am...
Reach on it. Come on.
Conflicted. Because I've been there. Okay. I would argue that none of those girls I dated should ever have had boyfriends in those formative years, okay? On the other side, I think it's very important for all of those ladies to have had those relationships with me during those formative years. I think that we both learned a lot about ourselves. All the women that I was a baller, but you know what I'm trying to say? Those relationships molded how I do or don't treat my current wife now, okay? All of that mattered. And so I'm conflicted because I do think this is necessary. Like I tell Senator Tom, like, man, just need to hurry up, get his heart broken, man. I'm ready to deal with that more than I am ready to deal with anything. Because that was one of the biggest drivers for the why do we fall down, Master Bruce, to get us to learn to pick ourselves back up, man. Getting my heart broke. That was the first time I felt like low. Like I ain't gonna get past this. Oh, yes, you can. That was a big accomplishment for me to let myself know that it ain't always all bad. These feelings are temporary. This situation is temporary. But it was such a hard, you know how it feels, guys. It's very hard. And it's one of those things that comes from outside too. You choose a chick that you like. She ain't got nothing to do with your family. Y'all didn't meet, but this is all you. And how I felt the first time it happened was like, oh, I messed up. I initiated this relationship. I tried to cultivate it, blah, blah. It didn't work out. And I messed up. What was wrong with me? There was a lot of self-reflection, not always good self-reflection that came from it. But anyway, my point is that was very formative for me. And so I'm conflicted on how to handle this, because I do feel that respecting, if that is the case, right? Respecting that does give me a couple of different things that I can speak on with him about respecting the integrity of the relationship, respecting the parents of the person that you're dating, bro. Like you can't disrespect that. And the difficulty is, I know that I have to be the bad guy, which I claim I don't mind to do, for something that he's not doing that's necessarily wrong, in the way that like punching a kid is wrong or lying and stealing is wrong. You know, it is wrong. It's a different type of wrong, but it's a type of wrong he needs to know he can't do. And
it's not wrong. It's just disrespectful.
Disrespect. Right. And that's a slippery slope, right? That's, and so trying to come up with a way to be like, all right, I want to give him this time. I want to kind of see what this is, but I know that like in the back of my head, I'm like, what would I do if the roles are reversed and I told her not to blah, and then I check her phone and there's, good night, baby, or whatever silly shit, because they're not like explicit, all crazy shit like that. She's a nice girl and everything. And it's, I'm in a bit of a bind because I have to play the role of a bad guy here. Not even a bad guy, but I have to give him something he's not going to want to hear. And those conversations, let me tell you why they're difficult. Because he understands, but he's hurt. Like, he doesn't be like, oh, why? He'll be like, yeah, Dad, I get it. And he'll start talking to me, and then he'll just start crying as he's talking, but he's just trying to stay strong. And he's very strong in these situations, but he's very hurt as well. And I see it. And if, that sucks. It sucks when you have to do that, man. I almost wish he was more dramatic with it. I don't know why. Because I feel like he's holding in the pain, and I don't like that. He says he's not doing that, but I can clearly see this motherfucker. I can see, but in his eyes, he's like, well, what's the point of complaining about it? What's the point of like talking about it after if it has to happen? That's like his logic on it. And I said, well, maybe if you need to express something about it. He was like, well, no, what I'm expressing is my sadness over what happened. It's already known. Like, he's logical in that way. And so it's like, all right, you're still 13 though, dude. I know, you know what I mean? Like, everything your kids are on top of them also being, a 10-year-old or a 9-year-old or a 6-year-old. And so
that's why you can't like that. That's why you can't really overthink it.
Right. I tend to do that.
Yeah. You can't overthink it because there's intentions, there's consequences, intended and unintended. And I think you approached it from the way that is the most mature way to approach it, to ensure that he grows. Because, what you mentioned in that situation was, it was the girl's dad that had an issue with, or that might have an issue with her being with your son. And so what you have to tell your son is, her dad, the relationship between her dad is just as important as the relationship between me and you, son. And I can't violate that relationship between another dad and their kid, just like you wouldn't, or no one would want that to happen to us. Just like Jermaine said, you kind of wouldn't want the shoe to be on the other foot, like you mentioned. And then there's the other consequences, or the precedents that you set in the house, which is also most important. Because like you said, when your daughters come of age, you're like, oh, well, that's that time you let Max da-da-da-da-da. And it comes back, a decade and a half later in a worse way. And so, because kids are watching. And then tertiary, like the impact to Max, like you said, is a necessary growth. It's that, or are we talking about how young boys need these King Leonidas moments where you've got to go and learn, go through the pain, go through the hurt, just like with anything else and most other things, especially those things of importance, like understanding relationships, and especially with the opposite sex, how that works. So there's that he's got to go through. Even when it comes to, like you mentioned, he's hurt by this relationship, but you're like, well, what is even the relationship? Y'all walk each other to class, like you said, sit next to each other at lunch. That's what relationships were like in 6th grade. Or how old is Max? Max
You're right. Yeah, because he's in 7th. He's 13.
He's 7th grade. Yeah, you walk each other to class, which is like 5 minutes in between classes.
Yeah.
You eat with each other at lunch. If you're in the same gym class, maybe you hang out then, but there aren't that many options or other than the movies and the mall. And so,
what's a mall?
Yeah, I know, right? What's happening, especially at those formative years, is different for both people, is different based on, like you said, the example that you and Sunny are setting for Max, the example that her parents are setting. So they're coming at it from that aspect too. You can't do anything about that, but focus on just the principles part of it. Like, okay, make sure you're being respectful. Make sure you're not doing anything that causes her to be disrespectful of her parents, which would be the wrong part, especially if Max is aware of it. And so he has to see that, okay, I don't want to put you in a situation where you're not respecting your parents or not respecting yourself or not respecting, us in this relationship, so on and so forth. So those are the things that are going to help Max here and going forward. Cause, like he's going to forget about this and he's going to move on and, he might like cross her picture out in the yearbook or something like that. I used to do that, like X somebody's face out you in in the yearbook. But no, I think through these types of things, there's no way it would be detrimental to Max to try to protect him because you don't know all the ways in which he needs to be protected.
Exactly.
Some things, yes, it's obvious. You don't want him to be abused, verbally, if the girl's verbally abusing him or, stuff like that. But those things, focus on those things that are going to carry him forward through the rest of his relationships that he goes through, regardless of who they're with or if they're good, bad, or indifferent. But those main things that he's going to need to pass down to his son or daughter.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
How are you doing that with your little ones? Because you got the older girl now, so you get to do the girl first in this regard. And I know y'all have, it's a little different because you do the homeschool thing.
Yeah.
So it's a little different.
It's a little different, but it is quite a bit different. Mostly just because she's maybe in a little bit more of a bubble than, say, a student that would be at public school. So there's less interaction that she has with a variety of
less risk.
I would say a variety of home training.
Yeah.
A variety of home training.
And that's a good way to look at that, boy. That's definitely what it is.
What I'm saying?
A real thing. That's a real thing, bro.
So what we've tried to do, yes, we've created a social community, and Jermaine, you got a chance to see a piece of it a couple of days ago. But even that social community is a subset. You know what I mean? It's a socio-demographic subset of African Americans that can homeschool, meaning the wife can stay at home and, the husband works, of a certain mindset as well. And so to answer your question, when it comes to my daughter, I think one of the things was mostly modeling. I think I was really trying to model mostly because that's what my pops did for me and my brother. And we just watched and watched and watched. And that's really all we mostly could do. So we understood, I think, the foundational things of why our family was the way it was. And by the time we had our own, it was clear to us the things that it took to recreate that same environment.
Okay.
But yeah, with my daughter, it's okay. I know she's going to grow up in a society where there's lack of maturation in the population of men that she'll have to choose from. You know what I mean? And so
we hope not, but
you
got to plan for the worst.
Got to be a realist. Yeah, you got to be a realist.
We hope we're doing the job.
We're doing the job. Just law of averages, and those things are generational, so they take time. So I know that exists, and I don't necessarily. I see it. Well, I'll pull back. I know there's going to be somebody that is what I would say like worthy to be with her, and vice versa. Like I would hope that the man that she meets is at least a reflection of me in my principles and values, at least. So it's pertinent to model that. And so the only thing she knows to look for is that. And so if she can see how my wife respond, or how my wife is in the relationship, being supported emotionally and having the freedom to be able to thrive in the things that she wants to thrive in, us moving, learning, growing in tandem, working through some of the difficult parts of the relationship, in the ways in which you have to do that: communication, respect, that, it won't be difficult for her to spot it. And I'm hoping it won't be difficult for her to spot it. And so that's definitely with that. Now, yeah, we've had to have conversations around like sexuality, things like that. I honestly just try to be as matter of fact about it as possible. I call it like objectively empathetic. it's just, I'm empathetic, but I'm objective. Here's what's happening. Here's what's going on. I understand it's a difficult thing. There have been boys that come and gone, and she's gone through the roller coaster of emotions that come along with liking someone and them not liking you, and then not knowing what to do with the emotions, not knowing how to process it, all of those things. So that has happened. And I think to your point, Joseph, Reagan is similarly logical. And so she can like take a step back, and now she can, at least, it took a couple iterations, but I think she can at this moment take a step back, understand the dynamics of what's going on, and not get too wrapped up in the moment of what's happening. But yeah, there's a little boy that liked her, and we had a skating event that we have one tomorrow. We had a skating event, and she was like, "Hey, Daddy, can you go pick up?" I think his name was Cecil. I'll just say it's Cecil. Cecil, I was like, "Well, who's Cecil?" Well, Cecil he's in our writing group, and he's this and he's that, and we've been talking about this, and he likes this, and we both like this, and da 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 da. And I invited him to the skating rink. I said, "Okay, cool. Well, I think that's good. Like, the first time y'all meet should be in a public place. Yeah, and we can get a chance to meet his family, this, and that." So I was explaining to her the right way to go about this. So we get to the skating rink, and she asked, well, before we get to the skating rink, she's like, "Well, can you go pick him up?" I was like, "I don't know Cecil's parents. I don't know if they're going to be comfortable with me just come picking him up and taking him somewhere. Like, I would need to talk to his parents, and I don't want to just show up at his crib the first time meeting his parents." So I had to explain the dynamics there that parents have to consider when it comes to when their kids interacting with one another, what it does to parents when they get dragged along and dragged into situations, and we got to deal with all this stuff.
Yes, sir.
All because they want play dates, and all because they want to meet up and do this. But so we explained that. I said, "No, we're not going to be able to pick him up, but have his parents drop him off or something like that." But anyway, we get to the skating rink, and she invited him. We didn't know she invited him. We get there, and she's looking at the door, like, skating around the skating rink, looking at the door. And the little boy comes, and before he showed up, I was talking to my wife, and I said, "Hey, I think Reagan invited Cecil," because she's looking at the front door like every time she skates around the rink, and he's on his way. And so I was having my own like little moment, like, okay, cool. Like, how am I going to react, or rather, how am I going to respond? But luckily, you know, a little small guy, kind of nerdy looking, and probably someone that I wouldn't mind Reagan kicking it with, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Seems safe. But, you know, had he come too fly, too good with the mouthpiece, you know,
real talk, man.
It might
Game
have been
recognized game, nigga.
Yeah, right. Would have been a little different situation.
But, you know, you don't have to worry about that, though, in the sense that, you know, that's not you. Like, I mean, you're kind of simple.
I don't know that, but if you allude,
like,
that's me. But if we allude to what we were just talking about with Max and his girl, we can only control what we think we can control.
Yeah.
I don't know if Reagan will go and say, oh, well, you know, I was with, you know, we work remote, so I'm with, and they homeschool, I'm with him all the time. So Reagan's like, all right, I got that guy. Like, I know who that guy is. I'm gonna get she might get to college and be like, oh, there's guys that do this and talk like this and look like this and sound like that and dance like, you know what I'm saying?
But they not gonna be. But it's not gonna. She not gonna.
People like exotic, man. Whatever that means to them.
Jermaine. So listen. So hold on.
Go ahead.
I don't quite think that you can say she's not going to do this, she's not going to do that, or that's not going to be an issue, or that. I don't think you can go that far and say that, because
only because he doesn't have enough information.
Yeah, you don't have enough information.
No, let me say this. I think
and it's not. It's more so that this is what I'm doing in the hopes that. That's it.
I go back to the verse: train up a child in the way they should go. So they, you know, like we know that you like you alluded to, you provide them the narrative, you provide them the example, right?
I agree. Eventually, yes, I agree.
Eventually, they come back to what their training has been. So, like I
will say, hold on, but because take Joseph for example.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Joseph's household now, and you look at Joseph's household by the way he's illustrated it in the last few episodes, you'd say he was to replicate what he grew up in. He was to replicate that model.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying.
But you can, so you can only, like I said, you can only have the best intentions. You never know if somebody's going to follow, or somebody's going to repel, if somebody's going to be a mirror, somebody's going to be a magnifying glass. So that's all I'm saying is, like, here are my hopes, and here's what I'm doing now, and the hopes that things go as I would hope they would for her. But and then, you know, my son, he's 9. We had a little bit of a talk. We had a little bit of a talk because he you wake up early in the morning and you pitch tents, and so he was pitching tents a couple mornings, and we had to talk about that. But I told him, I said, hey man, look, for you, the success of you as a man will rely on your ability to control
that exact thing.
Everything.
That's interesting.
Everything relies on your ability to control that.
Yeah.
Everything.
Because it will control your way of thinking, brother. For damn sure. And don't never mind, yeah.
So that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is super, super. I mean, man, so many people are going through these struggles right now.
But your son, Jermaine, how's that conversation with your son now that he's 14 as well?
Well, shoot, it's not just the 14-year-old. It's I've got a 10 and a 9 and an 8-year-old. Well, 7 will be 8 in May. So I've got like a cluster.
And sit them all down together. Throw a PowerPoint on.
You're not off track, man. You're not far off track. I probably will be doing something like that. So I've been individually having discussions with the different children. You kind of alluded to there's a difference between like the birds and the bees and the sexuality conversations, which the girls tend to want to have and not the boys. Interestingly enough, it's funny you mentioned that because my daughter was the same one that was kind of asking me like, well, what does it mean to be gay? Like,
I officiated a gay wedding. A lot of questions came from that shit. We'll talk about that in a moment. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, but
we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, go ahead, man.
But when we were in Jersey, when we lived in Jersey, it's a little bit more. It's a little more liberal than Texas, and so what they teach about these things is a little bit more. It's a little broader.
Yeah, I would imagine
accepting of all all aspects, and so I'm glad she was able to bring those questions to me, but she was just questions about like, is it right? Can girl and girls get married? Can boys and boys get married?
You need to go in your room. But
so, I mean, for me, I was like, I had to really think long about how to talk about that.
Yeah.
But really, it was just a matter of like, hey,
Hey. Whoa. I didn't know you had a soundboard too, buddy. Calm down.
No, but it was just a matter of talking to her and just saying, hey, look, in America, everybody you can get married to whatever you want to get married to. Boys can marry girls, girls can marry girls. And, everybody has a right to do that. And, as far as, we love all people, whether they like girls or guys or anything. We don't discriminate. We don't treat them any differently. We don't treat them bad. We don't treat them better. We just treat them like regular people. And we also go to, well, at the time we go to Liquid Church. Shout out to Liquid in New Jersey. And in Liquid, we teach that man is with woman and woman is with man, and that's the way the Bible intends. And so, as per church and per scriptures, this is how we operate.
Is that a conflict? Do y'all allow that to be a conflict? Meaning, which doctrine do you prescribe to? Meaning,
for her?
Correct. Yeah. For your children, if they're being taught that by one hand, but being taught that it's also okay by the other hand, like how do you square that in your own teachings? Like when because obviously you gotta live it. You know what I mean?
We gotta cross that bridge when we get to it, buddy.
I see you.
We're gonna hope we're not gonna cross that bridge.
I feel you.
I mean, let's put it this way. For me, I say to her, I tell her. I mean, she's the 10-year-old, so I tell her, hey, what do you? I ask her. It's more of questioning than me directing.
See where they are. Yeah.
Like, what do you think about that? And so for her, she was like, well, I kind of like Liquid. She likes the church that we go to. And so she's like, well, I kind of like what they say too. And, I think girls should be with boys because, like, it seems like great. It seems like okay. And I was like, well, as you say. And so, that's how I said, that's how I left.
You just let her arrive at it.
And I'm like, as you say. And so for that, it's just a matter of, I just told her as a matter of fact, like you said, Jared, like, hey, this is what you'll see, and it's okay. People get married, girls and girls get married, boys and boys get married, and that's okay. They can do that. We will respect people and not treat them any differently. And we will love our neighbors because that's the Second commandment, it's top 2, right? Love. So, but as far as, but there are different views, and the view that, we typically we hear in church was liquid is that man gets with a woman. And so she was like, that was perfectly acceptable with her.
Okay.
And I think part of that was I just laid it out. Like, this is what it is.
Right. Don't try to confuse the issue, man. You're right.
I'm not trying to say
that's what society does.
They're gonna no, it ain't none of that. You just, and when you put too much sauce on it, the kids get like, they want to get, it tickles that rebellious spirit in them.
Right. That's what I'm saying. There's so many other factors that go into that's the thing. We talk about the girls, right? You were talking about like, well, how could you say what? Because it was like, I could do all the whatever, but my 6-year-old likes bad boys. This is a bad kid in her class. She can't get enough of this nigga. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like, what is this? And so it's weird. Your 100% is only 50%.
Yeah, if that.
Man, I'm so glad I have y'all to talk to though, because it's.
But with the boy, well, I mean, how this whole conversation came up though, the boy, like, he got caught up with looking at illicit pictures online, and so I had to kind of talk to him, and I was like, look, man, this is not like, I understand you'd like to see people with their pants off, and
I like them butt,
and this is taking down many a men so quickly. You're not ready for this. You're not ready for any of it. I wasn't even saying like this is right or wrong. I was just saying, look, whatever this is, you're not ready for it.
Enough for ultra porn, yeah, baby. It's
not ready for
not for you. It's not for you right now, man.
It's not for you. Look,
it's so difficult.
This is not for you. And with that in mind, you need to treat it like it's like you're looking at a gun on a table. You wouldn't walk up and play with a gun because you're scared of a gun. You need to be just as afraid of that.
That's right. And I'm not saying don't go to the range. You know what I'm saying? But time and place.
Hey, and I'm not saying this ain't never, like, I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying, look, this is not for you, and it has taken down many a men.
Yeah,
many a men can't get a hold of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so your job is to stay away from this for as long as possible, as humanly possible. Society gonna put it in your face every which way.
Okay, and so speaking of that, right? That's the conversation I had with Isaac. He's my 9-year-old who'll be 10 this year, right? Where every time some sexy asses come on the screen, this dude's eewing and shit. All right, so I'm like, I'm looking at him like, so next time it happened, I was like kind of sus. I talked to him in his language. I'm like, kind of sus. This dude, this is what he did. Bro, I'm not gay, Dad. I said, oh, okay. That's protest too much. I said, okay, all right, dude, I don't know, every time you see a bikini booty, dog, you start acting like it's not good. I said, bro, I'm not, So he's and here's the thing about, he's one of those kids, man. I worry about him. I tell you, I don't worry about Max, man. But Isaac got the long hair. He a smooth talker, a little cutie patootie, all little girls.
See always... what I mean? Like, what do you even, you don't have the proclivity, like, you're not equipped.
Yeah,
you're not equipped. So if you take that and you say, okay, I'm so not equipped, even like say for Isaac, you may just be not as equipped for the rest of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear so because his stance on women is very different because of how he's approached by them. He's bothered by these hoes all up on him. You know what I'm saying? Like and so it's very different. And so his relationship with these girls is like, boy, they're bothersome as hell. I can't get nothing done. And it's a very different thing than a motherfucker who looking for a hoe to touch him and talk to him and shit. Like,
yeah.
Does she like me? This dude like, get him off me. God damn, and so it's the conversation is even different because of his view.
Right.
Is completely different than mine, nigga. I wasn't no cute nigga. Okay, I'm saying I was fucking dark skinned and shit. I had to work hard. This nigga got to tell a joke or nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's a good experience for us all because they are very different. Like I said, my interactions with Isaac in that area made me know that I'm not prepared at all for the girls, brother. Like I can't even handle two dudes that were both raised by me, nigga. All right, I should know. Yeah, it's very strange. And then he sees how his brother is. I know that's a big thing, though. Okay, that's the biggest thing. Is I have daughters with older brothers, bro, and that's gonna play a huge role into how these girls grow up. Because from personal experience, the coolest chicks I know all had brothers. All of them had brothers. Because brothers are like the first dudes outside of like your dad, right? Who don't want shit from you, nigga. They just they're your age group and they don't want shit from you. They don't even like you half the time. You know what I'm saying? That sibling rivalry love shit is good for women, man. It teaches them, I think, a lot about boys, obviously, and how they think, how they act, which I think is good. Some women get surprised by the man aspects of men because they weren't really raised around them. You know, they had their dad, but he doesn't act like a man around his daughters in that way, right? And so sometimes I think there's a confusion that happens and girls get into their late teens about how dudes are supposed to act. So I think chicks with brothers come out better socially, I think, learning how to deal with men. And so I try to make sure that the relationship between my boys and my girls is strong. Especially because they'll also be in the same school with them for a few years. And I need them to know that they're protected. I need them to know that like anybody about the fuck, you know, y'all know who Nate Diaz and Nick Diaz are? They're UFC fighters. Well, just know that they're brothers and they're UFC fighters, okay?
Yeah.
And there was an interview one time that was happening with a younger brother, man. And I love this line. He said, were you bullied as a kid? And he says, I got an older brother. No, I wasn't bullied. He said that line so matter-of-factly, like, dude, my older brother would never let something happen to me. Are you kidding me? And like, I love that. I want all of my children, aside from Max, who should have me for that, to know that, nah, my family will never let nothing happen to me. I want them to have that sort of bond. And I think that the way in which, obviously, they treat their mom, the way they treat their sister, a lot of that's going to be the way they treat their girls. Okay. And vice versa. So there's a lot that is in this relationship building when it comes to these little boys, these little girls, man. Because they have multiple versions of it early. You know, I didn't have that early. I didn't have no sisters or anything like that. You know, my parents worked. Also, I have a question for y'all too. You brought up earlier how the role of the relationship that our kids see us, right? They see us with our wives, how we interact with them. That also informs them on how they should act, you know, obviously with their spouse or with their others. I don't know y'all's, you know, I know early on, you know, tertiary, how, you know, Jerry's parents are. I hung around with them a lot, whatever, yada, yada. But like, I had like a bad household, okay? My parents were really, you know, they didn't love each other. They barely loved us. They just beat us all the time. They fought every fucking day from 5 o'clock to 10 p.m. Like it was hell. It was hell all the time until I was 17. Now, what I learned from that was how to be very hellish. Okay. I didn't learn how to love. I didn't learn how to. So all of that stuff happened just in real time through my relationships. And I wonder, again, I don't know y'all's parents' relationships, but if y'all found those relationships good and positive, how did that affect the way y'all pursued women? Like, I wanted an opposite girl. Because Jared was alluding to, like, I would want her to try to find somebody who at least reflects. I wanted the exact opposite person as my mom, bro. Okay? Because of the way she treated people, the way she treated me, the way she treated my mom, my dad. So, y'all, I 100% hear y'all's argument there about the way the parents' relationship affects us and how ours affects theirs. Do y'all see consciously the things that y'all pulled from your parents' relationships? The good parts that y'all pull?
I didn't really care. Me and my stepdad had a very contentious
stepfather.
relationship.
Okay.
When I was growing up. I mean, I say stepdad only because just for reference, that's my dad, right?
Right. Good.
And it, he probably now that's my nigga right now. Like as we've gotten older, and I married my nigga. That's my dad is my that's so now it comes with its own headaches because even though my old man is my old, he's my dog. He still know how to get on my nerves. And some of his proclivities still be getting on my nerves. But and still, I mean, the person I married was more like my dad than my mother. Like and I'm a lot like my mother. I'm so much like my mother. Like we're pretty much we're pretty close.
It's interesting. I like that. Okay.
Dynamics. And yeah, the benefits. I understand some of the benefits.
Also, no offense, Mom, if you watch this.
Oh, yeah, no. Shout out to Mom. Shout out to Mom.
I forgot. I'm talking like it's just us.
I mean, look, man. Look, man. These parents
skip
know
episode 6.
We did forget. I was like,
oh. Hey, cut that out in post.
She was,
just
at the crib.
I never want to be like the Atlanta Falcons. Like I just edit a different. Just edit a different.
You know what, man? We're gonna let Jared answer this one, and then we're gonna wrap it up. I think you got enough trouble, Jared, Joe.
I ain't gonna be here next week, y'all. Y'all gotta help me out.
What was the question? I don't remember.
How does Joe backpedal a lot of talking about his mom?
How much of your parents, as an example, did you use in your own relationship?
Yeah, were you conscious of like
stuff choosing your mate, like
and choosing
Sam, like your mom?
Oh,
or your dad?
That's good. Wow, that's a good question. I don't think I was conscious of it around the time, Sam, I was looking for a mate. I wouldn't say that's how it happened. I met Sam and she was just so different than other girls I had dated. And I had
a joke there.
So did I. I did too.
That was the same joke.
Yeah. I got y'all.
It's only because we love you,
I got y'all. Okay.
Hey, we out of line, bro.
Okay.
We out of line.
I got y'all. Oh, I got you. All right.
Oh man. We're gonna just let the audience just inside
base.
One.
Inside.
Yeah, that's good. I accept that 100%. I accept it. I received that. But yeah, man, it just kind of happened, and I think our relationship felt so natural, and but probably some of the subconscious stuff, maybe, Joseph, that you're alluding to, some of the subconscious stuff where your subconscious was like, I need someone that is, and someone that's more in contrast to my mom or to your mom, than, how I maybe approached, Sam subconsciously. So
yeah, I think it's more like if you're.
Hold on.
Did it change what you're looking for? Does it change how you manage it? But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I would say it didn't. It probably definitely subconsciously influenced what I was looking for once I was serious about marrying her, probably got me closer to that point than something that I was consciously thinking about. But I think more so where our conversation was headed was how we manage that now. And so I can think of now, I can see It's kind of like those things you were talking about, Joseph, years ago. You're like, hey, man, finally we can say things like, hey, we've been friends for 20 years, or we can say things we've done this. And so I can say, okay, now my parents have been married going on 50 years, going on 50 years. And they looking at that saying, okay, I want 50 years. Like I want 50 years. So what do I got to do to get that? And to that seed sowing conversation that we have, Jermaine, that's what was like, all right, well, what kind of seeds do I need to be sowing right now? And that's just how I was starting to see like a lot of stuff, like financial decisions, relationship decisions, friendships, pruning people out of life, meeting new people, bringing new people into my life for different seasons that I was going through. It was all about just like, all right, one of these days, whether intentionally, unintentionally, I'm gonna reap something. I'm reaping something. Either I'm reaping good seed that I've sown, or I'm trying to reap from seeds that I didn't sow, or I've got this negative reaping that's happening from a bunch of seeds that I just shouldn't have been. So I was very conscious about like, I need somebody with me that just helps me sow good seed.
That's very good. You were looking for a partner.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was looking for a mate originally. My fault. Go ahead. What you saying, Jermaine?
Sowing good seeds. We're looking for.
It's funny, man. You talk about that relationship. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think I considered how it affected me because I didn't think it existed. They divorced as soon as I got out of high school. My mom was like, "I'll just wait for you to graduate. I've been trying to get out." It was like very,
yeah.
And it's like, oh man, there was nothing there for me to. No, that's a lie. There was a lot for me to learn. Mm-hmm. There wasn't a lot of positive things that came. That's also a lie, because learning the wrong way to do stuff teaches you not to do that. And so while it was more difficult because I have to kind of unlearn, because mm-hmm. you know what happens, right? Something comes up and you go to your base. My base mm-hmm. is what I experienced. And so I was very angry. I used to, because I can get loud and all. Mm-hmm. And so you think, I won because she doesn't want to argue with me. You start to have weird rationales to explain, to excuse your bad behavior, and the times I started thinking about my parents' relationship, it's like, oh, because I'm doing the same wrong things. That's how their relationship affects me. Is I think of, this sounds like some shit they would do. Like that's how their relationship is in my head. It's never, how did they handle? No, it's never that. It's always like, oh no, this is their fucking path. I can feel that. Go away from that. And it was in the forefront of my mind on the looking part, not on the management part, because they didn't give me good information to manage my relationship with. But I knew what I know where I didn't want it to start. It can't start in that place that they were. Mm-hmm. And so I think it changed what I was looking for. I think that's the reason why I gravitated towards that Asian culture, a little more subservient, a little more, I think there's a lot of that was in here.
Interesting.
That attracted me to what I saw there.
Yeah.
Because I'll meet you. I want to meet your parents, dude. I'm a weird fucking guy. I've always loved people's parents, bro. Like, mm-hmm. I don't know what that is. Now, armchair quarterback 30 years later, I wanted to know who you really were. And you can't mm-hmm. hide it if I know, yada, yada, yada. I was 8. I've just always been this way. But that's what I fell in love with, bro, is the culture of which she came from, which I felt comfortable in, man. Like,
yeah.
And that was the biggest attraction, was that like, oh, okay, then I can see how her parents are acting. But illusions, boy, they weren't fighting and fussing, but they didn't fucking love each other though. And so it's a weird, sometimes they don't got to be fighting and fussing for it to be not a good relationship. You know what mm-hmm. I mean? There wasn't respect in their relationship.
But even you learning that too.
There you go. There you go. Because what it did is allowed me to show her, nah, dudes don't have to be like that guy. Because she didn't look for a dude like her dad. But here's the kicker. But without having her crazy fuck, because her dad's also a military vet, PTSD, wild. without her having that sort of father, she wouldn't have put up with any of my shit, because that's what I act like, was a PTSD Vietnam vet. I act just like my dad. But any other woman would have been like, get your wild ass the fuck out of here. They wouldn't have put up with my shit. But she saw that happening, you know, her growing up. She was like, yeah, sometimes niggas act like war vets, nigga. Like, you know, like she just assumed that. But it gave me time. It gave a weird sort of grace that allowed me to grow out of that.
Yeah.
And it's so.
Yeah.
It seems so manicured in particular. You know what I mean? And again, nothing is random, but it's relationships are built on so much more than what we see. And to try to bring it full circle, man, I want to make sure I instill in my children the best sort of backbone or scaffolding for them to hang their relationships on, whether that be following my lead, or whether that be understanding my faults, so that they can, you know, avoid it. Because there are times, you know, where somebody will do, I say somebody, my wife will do something, and under my breath, I'm talking some shit, but I'm talking some shit a little too close to my 13-year-old who's kind of absorbing that. And then he's like, yeah, I should have that attitude too. And it's like, you know, you got to, you know, control your smiles and frowns. This is a good line from Training Day, man. You got to control your smiles and frowns. And, you know, I learned very, very early on, you know, don't argue in front of your damn children, because that's the only thing that my parents ever did. And it made me not respect women. It made me not respect people. It made me like when I get angry, I get too angry. I get fucking, I want to destroy you. I want to make you never, I get real crazy, bro, because I didn't respect people, man. I didn't respect people because nobody respected me. I didn't see any respect in my house. It was like, oh, okay, what the fuck I need to respect? Because, you know, kids have that, if my daddy don't, then why would I? I was very like that, dude, okay? Like I'm looking for fucking fights because I can't fight my dad. I can't, you know, I got all this pent up fucking just aggression from all this stress, boy. That stress, guys. Your kids feel it. You can't. This is going in a whole different direction, man. This conversation was about a very specific thing. Y'all know how I ramble, man. I had some coffee. Y'all that woke me up a little bit.
Put it in the notepad.
There you go. That's why it's here, brother. I'm no longer are we gonna skip over these topics,
because you know, over the next couple of weeks we are talking about relationships, but we are gonna go into family dynamics after relationships. So do a couple weeks on, and then after Mr. Todd comes on, we're gonna dive right into family dynamics, just in time for those family reunions.
Oh yeah.
We'll cut it off here. We're getting a little late too, but you know, I'm Mr. Get a Job, Jermaine.
Joe from work. You already know what it is.
He's Jared.
All right, man. Love you guys, and we'll hit it.
It's all love, brothers. Y'all be cool.
Peace out.